Welcome back to Coding Casually, and in this video we would be making a fully functional web application using Python, Flask, HTML and CSS. In this video, as I said, the fully functional web application would be a notes app. The moment you would write someone's name who has already saved some notes, you press the retrieve button and those notes will be populated. You can also push in the notes that you wish to, like work with person third, and the moment you push it and try to retrieve it, you'll see that it has added the details in it. Similarly, if a person doesn't exist in it, it would not be able to populate anything. There are few issues in this app and I would want you to fix them, but before that we would be going back to the laptop and see how this application is made. In order to make this application working, what you need to do is you need to create two files. The first one would be the HTML file. The second one would be the py file. Both of them are empty and right now exist in one of the folders that I've created. So the moment you are done with this and you have installed Visual Studio Code, if you're working on Visual Studio Code as an IDE, you can use any of the IDEs you wish to, but I'll be resuming on Visual Studio Code only. Before we continue, I would really want you to install Flask. Through that, you would be able to create a server that we would want for this app to work. So before that, what we can do is we can hop on to the web application, basically the front UI that we would want to build. And for that, we would be hopping on to the HTML file that we have, and let's start making stuff on it. So, I'm sure that most of you know about it, but if you don't know about it, what we do is we write doc.html and write this thing, and the Visual Studio Code does half of the job for us. And the moment we would write this, you would really see that, it is filling the details up for us. So we can write my web app, and the moment you are done with this, you have created the header, and we would be going with the body. Because we want it to be in the middle, we can push in a height of 800 pixels and then width of 500, or let's go with 600 pixels. Okay, and we can also push in for elements. That way would be pushing the nodes in and to carry a color of ice blue. That's fine. And let's go back and see how this looks. Looks pretty much okay. The one that we were trying to make. Okay, let's see what we all are missing. There is a good possibility that we might be missing something. And for elements, we can carry with P because it would be the pushing stuff in it. And to make the correction and make it in the middle part, what we can do is, so what we would be doing, we would be fixing this up by writing main center, and let's see how it looks like. Okay, it has fixed a little, but now what we need to do is we need to write h2 as well here because it doesn't have any label, so we have to put a label in it. So let's go with h3 and write input user, and then let's see whether we have a change. We do have a change, and now let's put some breaks in, and we'll see that we have a break here, and that's fine. Okay, so now we are ready with the HTML part and the CSS part of the app. Let's hop on to the Flask part of it. So it's very important to create a few of the items before we go ahead and start using Flask. What we can do here is a database is required, so we will be alright. So we are back on the main file, which is basically the Flask file that we would be making. In order to make the Flask file, basically the engine that works for us will be from Flask, import Flask, and similarly from Flask we would be importing requests and JSONify, so that we can convert the JSON file. And we would also need Flask cores for issues that we usually get in Chrome for cross-platform. We would also be importing SQLite 3, and we would be importing OS. Okay, so now what we would be doing is we would be fetching the directory where the file exists, and for that we would be writing os.path, and then we would be writing the name, directory name, and then we would be writing os.path and dot real path and file, and the job is done. So what would happen through this line of code is we would be able to check where the a script file exists, so that if we wish to target the database, that we would, of course, we would be able to easily target that. So Flask is the name of the app, name, and then we would also be writing course, and then we'll be writing CORS, and we would be giving it the app. We would also be configuring it by writing uh, course header, CORS course underscore headers, and then we would be hopping on to equals to, and then content type. I'm sure that would work for cross-platform issues. And then let's go on to making the app run. If underscore name equals to main, and then we would be writing app dot run. I guess it has to be corrected to this. So now we have written a Flask app. So in order to run the Flask app, what we would be doing, we would be writing some routes. We would be writing app.route, and then we would be doing a pull method. So we would be just pulling the details up, and then we would be giving it some methods, and then those methods would be post and get. So these are the two methods that we would be using, and then we would be writing define pull, and for the time being we would be writing here. Okay, so this is the first route that we would be making, and we would also be going with the second route, and that will be push. Okay, so now we have already defined what we would be doing with the app. We will be pulling stuff out and we would be pushing stuff in. So in order to write the pull method, what we would be doing, we would be consuming the JSON data for this one, or rather not JSON. We would be pushing the JSON data. We would be simply fetching an argument from here. We'll be writing content equals to request dot args dot get, and what we would be taking in, we would be taking a name of the person for which we would be pulling the data. Now we would also be pulling the database up as well, and that will be SQLite dot connect, and then this directory plus my database and dot db. So this is the database that we would be pushing in, and similarly we will be creating a different method as well. Just give me 1 minute. What we would be doing next is we'll be closing it up, and then we would be writing a cursor, and then we would be giving the name of the database that we wish to connect to, and then we will write cursor, and then this is done, and then my details that we would be pulling the details from, and then we would be writing um, what we can write here is basically what we need to execute. So we would write my cursor not execute, and then we would be writing a select query, select star from info is the name of the table that we would be hitting, and we would be writing where name is, and then just because these will be text, we can write name here, and then we can close this thing up, and now we need to format the text. So format, and then we can write name equals to content, the one that we would be pulling from here, indeed, and then we would be closing it up. So what we want is to return the details as well, so we can write my details dot fetch all. That would work well. And now what we have done is we are done with the pull method of it. Now we'll be writing the push, which will be in very easy. We would be writing again. So now what you can do is you can basically copy paste stuff. You can write my database here, and then what you can do is so it doesn't seem to be connected. Connect. This will be better, and then connect. Okay, so now you also have a cursor, and then what you need to do is you can write content again, and you need to write request.get JSON. So now the thing that we would be pushing through the front end of the site is basically the JSON file, and then we would be writing um, my cursor as we already wrote. I will copy this dot execute and an insert statement. Insert statement will be insert into info, and then values will be there, and then we would be going with this, and then we would be opening up this as well, and then comma, and then this and another this. So in this we would be pushing in the variables, so it could be name parameter and then the info parameter. Again we will be formatting stuff, and then we'll be writing name underscore par equals to content, and from content we will be pulling name, and then we can go here, copy and paste back again, and here we can write content back again, and we can write info. So this is the structure of our JSON that we would be preparing. And then what we need to do is my database needs to commit to the information, and then we can do a return is like push initiated. This will be the way we would be preparing the Flask file, and then if we press F5, let's see it works or not. And I'm sure that the server has started, so basically no issues has been found yet. Of course we haven't touched the methods or the routes yet, but still it works preliminary. Okay, now we would be hopping back to the HTML file, and let's see how we can make the JavaScript work for it. Okay, let's hop on to the JavaScript. So in order to create the JavaScript, what we need to do is we need to be very we need to be able to create something which is very easy to understand. Of course there are many ways to write the JavaScript, so we'll be writing the script tag here, and then closing it down, and then start with the function. Alright, let's create the function file here, which is basically function JSON. Okay, alright, so in order to fix this we'll write function, and this is the main function file. Let's go with where URL will be nothing. Right now we don't have anything to place as a URL, and let's say name equals to document dot get element by ID, and rather let's go with query selector. Document dot query selector, and then hashtag, and we had fetch, and then let's go below and let information be document dot get query selector, and then do this, and then hash new info will be right. Let's see whether it's a new info or not. Yes, it is. Okay, now what we would be doing is we would be writing the xhr object. So we'll be writing xhr equals to new xhr http request, and then we'll be closing it up. We'll be pushing things here, and let's go with this. So if command dot execute equals to push, and then it will do this, else it'll do this. So what we would be coming here is we would be checking, of course, whether we have put in the request for push or not. So we'll be writing the URL will be this one for this. So for push, what we can do is we can copy this and then paste here and then write push, and then for URL this one we can copy here, and instead of push we can write pull. So we have push and pull with us. Now we would be writing, let's check whether we would be able to get response from the server or not. We will do an XHR open, and then we'll post something. And what we would be doing is we'll be using the URL that we needed, and then let's see whether it comes out to be right or not. Okay, and we would be explicitly saying that we would be requiring JSON data. So we'd be writing set request header basically, and then content type, and then we'll be writing application status, oh sorry, application, so application, and then what kind of application we expecting. Basically the headers we expecting is JSON data. Now let's see whether it's in ready state or not. So we'll write on ready state change. We'll be pushing in a function, and then that function will be helping us in checking whether the server is readily available for us or not. Ready state equals to 4, and our xhr dot status equals to 200, basically XSS, and yes, console dot log, and we'll write reached here. Okay, so everything seems to be fine. Let's close the function, and then let's write the next part or the full part of it. Okay, moving ahead, we'll be writing the full function, and instead of writing a console log, we would not be writing, and we would write xhr dot open. That is done. And now what we need to do is we need to check again if we can again copy this from here. So we can copy stuff here and then close it up, and then write else, and then close it up back again, open stuff up, open stuff up, and then what we need to write is var data, and then we can write json dot stringify, and then we can write name equals to name dot value, and we are pulling this from the above, and then we would be writing comma, and we would be writing info equals to information dot value. So this has to be in this format, and then let's move forward. Okay, this has to go from here. Alright, so let's go ahead and create the other stuff. So let's move ahead and let's see what else we can do. We need to find, or basically we need to send the data across as well. We'll send, what we need to send is data. So what is happening here is we are sending the data, and then we'll be moving forward. So after sending the data, what we can do is we need to check for the pull as well. So we can write constant and then response and then fetch. And what we can do is we need to pull in the URL. So let's pull in the URL and then we will provide the argument. So let's move ahead and let's see what else we can do. We need to find, or basically we need to send the data across as well. We'll send, what we need to send is data. So what is happening here is we are sending the data and then we'll be moving forward. So after sending the data, what we can do is we need to check for the pull as well. So we can write constant and then response and then fetch. And what we can do is we need to pull in the URL. So let's pull in the URL and then we will provide the argument to the application, and that would be like this one. It's a JavaScript, so we'll be writing name dot value and then close this, and then we'll write then, and then we would write res, and we would be culling the details out of this. So we'll put the first one because the array only contains two elements. We'll be pulling the first one, basically the second one, but we write the first one, and then we would be doing element dot append child, and then we'll be writing the tag. So this is how we would be able to create the full um, JavaScript. Let's see whether it works for us or not. It should. And let's close this thing up. Let's rerun the server and let's hop onto the. Let's see whether it works or not. Let me write my name up and let me push in some detail. Work one, done. Let's push and let's see. Let's push. Let's see, push. Let's retrieve. So it pulls out the details for me. Let me press the retrieve button. Okay. Let me push with another button, another name, ASD, and let's see, push, and let's see, retrieve. And we are able to see that everything is working fine. I know that the cursor is not working. I would want you to make that change. Plus, I'll be going through the code once again to make sure that you all understand what exactly I've done. This was the Python file. Everything seems to be fine. So what I'll do is, and this is the import statements. We'll import Flask, we'll import request, JSONify, and CORS. JSONify to convert to JSON format. Request is to consume the JSON format. SQLite will be using it as a database, and OS is to check or basically call out the location where the script sits. So this is the statement that looks like for the Flask, and this is the statement that looks like for the push, and this was pull. And through this, we have formatted the statement in a way that the variable sits here. Similarly for this one, going back to the HTML one, and this is how the HTML file looks. I know this is more overwhelming. So what I'll do is I'll push in all the details, basically all the files, and I'll let you know where all these exist so that you can make the amendments that you wish to and make a better web application. This was just a basic one. There can be a huge difference that can be made to this application. I'm sure that this can actually sit on the site for a few of the users who can use it for their daily BA use. Thank you. If you think that this video has helped you or rather helped you in creating more projects using web development or Python or Flask, please push in your comments, like the video, and also subscribe. And please do share the video with other peers or people who are trying to learn web development using Python and Flask. Thank you.